No more faith in Mark Rogers TV's college football predictions, my confidence picks especially. 8-9 against the spread last week. Missed all three confidence picks. So 10-12 against the spread in my confidence picks. Click. You've clicked me off right now. Why not? Here's why not. 21-9, 25-12, 29-19. Aggregate 75-40, 75-40 against the spread confidence picks in 2011, 12, and 13. Tom Brady. Where am I going? Tom Brady, several weeks ago against Kansas City. How many people put him out to pasture? He and Belichick after that game. And what have they done since? Faith, people. Faith. We're going to bounce back. All right, Mark Rogers TV's college football predictions. We were 13-4 straight up last week. Again, 8-9 against the spread. And our considerations for confidence picks should have went in a few other directions. I really loved Purdue plus the 14 against Minnesota. That would have been great. Or Mizzou plus 5 at Florida, but we didn't go in that direction. UCLA, Clemson, and TCU, or rather Oklahoma State, let us down. All right, on to week 9. Here we go. Friday night matchup. The resurgent Cal Bears at home against Oregon. The Ducks a 17.5-point favorite. Cal's resurgent. They're playing teams close, like UCLA last week, only losing by 2 at home to UCLA. This is a night game. They should be revved up, but you can only be revved up for so long. Cal is still not in Oregon's league, and the Ducks will show up, and they know that they're playing for a college football playoff position. Ducks cover the 17.5. Okay, let's start at the top on Saturday with the number 1 team in college football, Mississippi State, at Kentucky. Okay, if this would have been a week ago, Mississippi State coming off another huge victory, Kentucky coming in at 5-1, playing at home, I would have swayed with Kentucky in the points. But take into consideration Mississippi State, sure they could be looking ahead, but they've had the bye week. So Dan Mullen's not going to allow this football team to look ahead. And Kentucky just got blasted in Death Valley 41-3. So the Wildcats have handled the East to a certain extent, but the West is much different. Take Mississippi State minus 14 against Kentucky. Dogs continue to roll at number 1. Okay, their chief rival, Ole Miss, goes to Death Valley. Mississippi State went down there and took care of business, 34-29, and it wasn't that close. LSU's a 3.5-point underdog. They've won 30 of 31 night games in Death Valley under Les Miles. Ole Miss goes to LSU. I would be very, very tempted to pull the trigger on the upset, except LSU can't throw the ball, and this Ole Miss defense is so tough. This is the best defense in the country, the best defense I've seen. And I can't imagine there's a defense in the Big 12 maybe that I haven't seen for a full game that's going to be better than Ole Miss. Maybe Michigan State's there. Alabama, look what they did last week. Ole Miss right now is the best defense in America, and defense travels. So Ole Miss goes to LSU. Follow me here. Tigers cover the 3.5. Close. Bama goes to Tennessee. No letdown here. I know that the Tide has not played well on the road, losing at Ole Miss, going to Arkansas, practically losing, winning 14-13. They go to Tennessee and take care of business. The Vols are much improved, but we saw what happened to Tennessee going to Ole Miss. I know that they're in Knoxville this week, but going to Ole Miss against a top 5 type opponent, and Alabama is every bit the level of Ole Miss. That's kind of interesting that I would even phrase it that way. Bama covers 17 at Tennessee. Auburn, South Carolina. South Carolina is beat up. Dylan Thompson's throwing the ball all over the place. This South Carolina team is nothing close to what they were supposed to be at 4-3, 2-3 in conference play. Auburn has to look impressive. They're playing for the college football playoff. Although in a sense they're not looking for style points. At Auburn, they've got the loss, so they can't lose again. And if they win out all by 1 point, well, it's going to be against Bama and Ole Miss in an SEC championship game. So Auburn just needs to win. I got to take the points here. South Carolina is on the road at the Plains. Sure, Auburn could win this game 41-10, They're not going to. I like South Carolina plus the points here. 19.5. Auburn wins. Michigan State, Michigan. Sparty has been not so impressive in recent weeks. The Purdue game, the Nebraska fourth quarter, they did get the job done by 39 over Indiana. Michigan, defensively, take this into account. It's a pretty good defensive team. We discount Michigan because of all the other turmoil, and the offense is atrocious. The offensive line's bad. The quarterbacking's bad. Devin Gardner, 6 touchdowns, 8 picks. Bad, bad, bad. Michigan State wins again. Mark D'Antonio moves to 6-2 against Michigan, 6 of 7 against the Wolverines. Where is little brother now, Mike Hart? Michigan State covers 17 at Michigan. TCU, Texas Tech. This is too many points. Okay, TCU is a really good football team. They're better than Texas Tech. Tech, not the passing offense that they've been in the past. TCU wins this comfortably, but I got to take the 23.5 with Texas Tech. All right, here's our upset special. I really love Kansas State. Bill Snyder does an exceptional job. He does more with less. Kansas State is facing a comparable team athletically. I'm not going to say usually Texas is better athletically, faster. They should be. I'm going to say they're very comparable. Kansas State, we saw them with a big effort at Oklahoma in winning. Kansas State comes home. Texas pulls off the upset. The Big 12 continues to beat itself up. Texas wins plus the 10 at Kansas State. First confidence pick. Listen up. Got the Buckeyes having scored 56 points last week against Rutgers. Rutgers, a team that took Penn State to the wire. Christian Hackenberg had to throw a late touchdown pass to pull the game out in Piscataway. Penn State's offensive line will not be able to block the Buckeyes. Sure, Ohio State could be looking ahead, but Ohio State doesn't play that many big football games. If they were playing a gauntlet like the Big Ten schedule of 10 years ago or an SEC Western Division schedule now, you could see them looking ahead. And Michigan State's not next week. They're 2 weeks down the line. This Ohio State team still has much to prove. They need the style points. Ohio State goes to Happy Valley. They dominate. They win a 41-17 type of game against Penn State. Lay the 13.5 in a confidence pick. Take the Buckeyes in this one over Penn State. Let's go out to the West Coast. We've got the Arizona schools playing important football games. Arizona State trying to vie for a Pac-12 championship game, taking on Washington in Seattle. Like the Huskies plus the 3, but this is going to be razor close. Arizona State's got a at times dominant defense, at least against Stanford, not so much against UCLA. I love the Arizona State team here to win in Seattle, but I think it's going to be really tight. Take the Sun Devils straight up, Washington plus 3. Okay, the other Arizona school, Rich Rod and the Wildcats, taking on Washington State. Arizona just a 2.5-point favorite on the road. We know what the Wildcats were able to do in Eugene. If you can win in Eugene, you can win anywhere in the Pac-12. Arizona covers 2.5 against Washington State. The Washington State Cougars will score. Arizona will score much more. Nebraska-Rutgers. The Huskers are a good team. They're a solid team. They've got the best running back in football playing currently with Mr. Gurley on the sideline. Nebraska defeats Rutgers at home. The Scarlet Knights starting to feel the better teams in the Big Ten out, and it doesn't feel so good. But take Rutgers plus 20.5. I think that's an awful lot of points. I know they just got blasted by Ohio State, but Rutgers will hang with Nebraska by a couple scores. Nebraska wins, Rutgers plus 20.5. Utah, USC. I wrestled with this one. There's a reason it's a pick'em game at Salt Lake City. The Utes are playing just a smidge better, and they're at home in a pick'em game with Travis Wilson possibly not playing the entire game. You've got Kendall Thompson as well in the mix for the Utes. Utah wins over USC in a very entertaining football game. I would love to catch that one. Confidence pick, and I could be trapped here. This could be a trap game. Oklahoma State, after the Florida State showing in Game 1, has not looked great. They barely beat Kansas with Dax Garman at quarterback, 27-20. I thought, They were playing Kansas. They were looking ahead. They just got the job done. But then they went to TCU and got pasted 42-9. It was that much of a blowout, too. They got dominated in that game. All right, West Virginia's look great. They've become the darlings of the Big 12 and much of college football because people remember them taking Alabama to the final 5 minutes. They played a really good game against Oklahoma at home. West Virginia last week, of course, beat Baylor by 2 touchdowns. So it seems easy. Wow. Oklahoma State with Dax Garman completing 55% of his passes, 7 picks in 4 games. Can't score. Not getting the ball to Tyreek Hill. Check out our post with Robert Wetzel of Cowboys Ride for Free on West Virginia, Oklahoma State. It seems like falling into a trap, but I'm gonna take the trap game here. West Virginia's playing really good football. I know that Russell, the running back, their leading rusher, could be out. They've lost a couple corners, possibly. So they're beat up. And they're going on the road. They're a different team on the road. I still like West Virginia. Give me the point. West Virginia +1 in a confidence pick against Oklahoma State. And finally, a couple games later at night. Clemson-Syracuse. Tigers now at home. They've squeaked by North Carolina State. Could have lost on the last possession against Boston College as well, winning that game just by 4 points. Clemson comes home, gets healthy, plays in better weather. Love this matchup against Syracuse with Clemson covering 14.5. Not a confidence pick because they have played tight to the vest with Cole Stout at quarterback. Clemson -14.5 though against Syracuse. And finally another double-digit spread with UCLA going to Colorado. The Bruins have disappointed, but they are still 5-2 and playing for a Pac-12 South championship to get to the big game against, most likely, the Oregon Ducks. UCLA covers 13.5 against a woeful Colorado team. There are my picks. And we need to hear from you. Would love to hear your picks. Where did I miss it? What should be the confidence picks? There it is. Again, the confidence picks to this week. Ohio State -13.5 at Happy Valley. West Virginia +1 at Oklahoma State. Going with a couple road teams to cover there. Would love to hear from you now.